Evidence, whether or not. Tell us all about it, Dusk.
All right. I've been listening to Evidence for a little while now. I discovered him in the album Cats and Dogs. He's his real name is Michael Taylor Pereira, but he's better known as Evidence. He's an old school MC, and he's an East Coast rapper. Right now, he's signed to Rhyme. Damn it! Like it's the same. It's the same people that are currently saying Aesop Rock and a bunch of other kind of like less heard from rap artists, which is a shame because I think this is a solid album that just isn't getting really much attention. And so I wanted to bring attention to it. I know you and 90s talk about albums and stuff, and I almost don't always get to comment about stuff, and I'm always pointing out other rap artists that I know, but you're like, who?
Right.
So I thought I'd introduce you to one of them, more recent band, and he just released an album a few months ago called Whether or Not, and that's a play on both the weather in which he used to live in, and both his use of alliteration. And I really enjoyed this album. The more I've listened to it, the more I've really grown to really like it. It doesn't have all the great hits, but for what ones that do, I think they really stand out.
Right.
He's a little bit slower rapping in comparison to other artists, but I feel there's a better temperament when he is rhyming and using his cadence, especially with the beat work. Who a lot of it is from longtime collaborator Alchemist, who allows him to kind of have this more. The closest I would kind of give is Ninth Wonder, who worked on the little rap artists, Little Brother, that was Fonte and Big Boo. That's very kind of using kind of the world that's around them and kind of introducing a bit of a melody to it. So you get a lot of, I want to say, industrial background. And even just kind of slice of life stuff in the background. And I think that really adds to the ambiance that he's trying to put into this album. First song he puts on it is called The Factory, which in itself starts off right from like a news report and weather broadcast. And that kind of goes right into just kind of what he's been doing for a long time, since he's been rapping for almost like 15 plus years. So he's been doing this game for a long time, and it's a good introduction. It's not his best. I think his single with this, the next one would become one of his singles for the album, Throw It All Away, which I think really does celebrate what he's really good at, which is kind of using this kind of drowned out but industrial melody to kind of play under. The Throw It All Away is talking about how a lot of rap artists talk about getting a lot of money and getting a lot of gigs, and just talking about the kind of almost sad futility in that it's, well, I'm getting all this money, I'm getting it now, and I'm just going to throw it all away, and don't worry, more's coming. And then there's going to come a point when no more's going to show up, and you've just thrown away all this money. And for a guy like him, who is kind of had to kind of fight for pretty much everything he's ever gotten, that's almost even just paying the bills feels like it's kind of throwing it all away, but it's just the life he lives. The more, I would say, commercial song, which I was a little surprised by, was Powder Cocaine, which featuring artist Slug and Katero, which I'm not too familiar with either one, but this one is a bit more focused and talking about kind of, it's basically kind of the same of the things, and that theme of just the kind of things he's had to deal with and the demons he's kind of deal with, especially with his problems with, as kind of go with other artists, of dealing with drugs and alcohol and other vices. And that also leads to the fourth song, Jim Dean, which he also talks about it, but it's very brief, and in that he turns around what would be a follow-up song to more of a kind of well, I've been here a long time and I've suffered all that, but I'm still here. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty good. And I'm living it all right. And that leads on to Whether or Not, which follows on to Moving Too Fast, which also kind of deal with that similar things. Runners, which is the seventh song that deals with it. And it's just that album just keeps going, going, going. And the whole album, I could go through every single song, but I think you'll get the point. It really does sell this kind of more down home approach to an album and his uses of both the weather, not just in title, and he even makes fun of himself in one of his songs called Whether or Not. Am I just the guy who's I'm just known for the guy who's known for, let's say, for puns and rhymings and weird rhyme schemes, or whether or not, and he's using that term, a phrase of the WHE version rather than WEARD, sorry, WEA weather. So it's interesting, and I find it his clever usage of alliteration and stylings interesting, if nothing else, from what I see most often in rap and hip hop, which is a shame because rap and hip hop, it's a rap. It actually stands for rhythm and poetry,
Okay.
and so in hip hop's just a form of beats. So it's interesting to see that that's kind of fallen by the wayside, and this is one of the few artists who are kind of trying to keep it going
Right.
as a form. I also really like how it just ends. It ends on a similar, very kind of to the heart note, very earnest, where he talks about how he almost lost his wife to breast cancer, and the only reason they found it was because of his son, who was an infant who breastfed with his mom, and that's how they found the lump.
Right.
And that's a great way to kind of play it out as a guy who, despite all the turmoil, he does find something. He does have a lot to go for, and he's really happy about how things have turned out. And even though that it's not always sunny weather, he appreciates it even in the rain.
Okay.
So I don't know, man. I've been talking a while. How do you feel, man?
You want to round out your thoughts? Give like fave tracks, least fave
Sure.
tracks.
Yeah, sure. I guess for my favorite tracks, I'll go with like I said before, Throw It All Away. I really like Raindrops. It's just a very chill song as he's just talking about the different things. It's just a really interesting use of he's just talking about the environment around him. And I really can envision myself playing this on a rainy day and just kind of sitting back and relaxing and kind of taking my surroundings. And I would say that my last favorite one would probably be, of the top three, would probably be Runners. I really like the beat for it, and I really like Defari on it. He's also kind of a slower artist on it as a guest artist, but I really like how they gel with one another.
Okay. Any least fave
But
tracks, like tracks you didn't like, or
mm, what I need is okay. It was okay. It's all right. There's nothing too special about it, and probably I would say bad publicity. It's not that good.
okay.
Other than that, I would say it's a pretty solid album overall, which is considering it's 16 tracks and they're all pretty solid.
Yeah.
There's some better than others, like I said, but overall, I think it's a nice package and it's good thematically. I would definitely give this a tune in.
Okay.
I think it's a good sleeper album. If you want if you're done with the music and you're like, man, I don't really like what they're playing on the radio at the moment, or I don't really like what they're kind of playing on my Spotify list, check it out. Just take a listen. If you like the album, pick it up. It's on his Bandcamp page, and it's like $10. And you just have it forever in every quality. That's what I do. If I really like an album, I just buy it so it's forever with me.
Okay. All right. So you think it's definitely worth a buy? Definitely.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely worth a buy for me. It's an eight out of 10, a great album.
Okay. Cool.
But I can understand if some people say it's a 7, but I just really dug it.
Yeah. I would pretty much share that same sentiment. I really enjoy listening to it. I think the project has a really great vibe, great feeling to it. I think some of the best work that comes on this project is with his friend and frequent collaborator, The Alchemist. I think especially because The Alchemist executive produced this project, and a lot of the tracks that he's featured on are really good, are really nice, and I love most of The Alchemist work. and I love their stuff together here. I think Evidence, you spoke about his flow. I think he has a really good flow, but I can understand like some people may not be all the way, into his flow,
Down with it.
down with it because his flow, yeah, it's kind of a little slow, a little monotone sometimes. It's not the most hype thing you'll ever hear, or the most energetic thing you'll ever hear, but I think it's a good solid flow. And I think he delivers it pretty well. And I like the boom bap style of production on this project. And you don't hear a lot of that, especially nowadays. Like mostly stuff is just mostly trap nowadays. So it's a different change of pace than what you normally hear, probably, on the radio or mostly mainstream kind of hip hop type of stuff. So I think it's a diversion from that, which I really enjoyed. And I think it's easy listen. It's a great listen. Like this project almost clocks in at about an hour. Like it's about like 55 minutes. I think it's you don't even really feel that length all that much.
Yeah, I've put it on. I've listened to it at least twice where I've just started from the beginning and I'm doing other things.
Yeah, I think it's an easy listen, a great listen to. I don't think you'll feel the length at all. And I think it's a really good project. So I'd also give it a tune in as well. Some of my favorite tracks on here, I'd go Whether or Not. I'd go Powdered Cocaine. I think is really good. I think Sell Me This Pen is really good. Least fave tracks, I don't really have any. I think it's a pretty solid project overall. Like there's no tracks I didn't really vibe with, or had any really hate towards.
Yeah, like I only had two, and that's just like, like if you had to cut something.
Okay.
And it's like if. Other than that, I think they fit perfectly between the songs.
Yeah.
But if you put a gun to my head and told me, well, if you could get rid of something, I'm like, what do I need? What I need?
Right. Yeah. So I don't think there's any real bad song here or anything like that. I think it's nice. So yeah, definitely tune in for me as well. Hello, thanks for checking out our content. If you liked it, let us know. And if you didn't, let us know that as well. If you want to see more content, we post every Saturday on SoundCloud and YouTube at The Afternoon Tune. You can also find us through various social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all one word at The Afternoon Tune. And if you don't deal with any of that social media stuff, you can also find us through our email at theafternoontune@gmail.com. And don't forget to always stay